What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the latest episode of The Layup.Line. My name is Dolos, and if you're new to the channel, you should subscribe for more NBA content like this. The 2022 NBA playoffs are underway, and I've spent a lot of time thinking about how I want to cover those playoffs on this channel. I think the entire post-game recap scene is too saturated with other YouTubers, and a little too demanding on my current schedule to be able to record and edit every day or every other day. So for now, I have landed on this 3 Things weekly series where I'll be highlighting 3 scheme matchups or strategies that I'm focused on so far. Jumping straight into things, the first of my 3 things is the emergence of Tyrese Maxey for the Sixers. Maxey's growth has been a huge factor in Philly's success this year, which is why many people are upset that he didn't get more consideration for Most Improved Player this year. Tyrese has only strengthened that argument through his first 3 playoff games. There's been serious talk amongst some that Maxey can surpass James Harden as the team's legit second option, or at the very least be a 2B to James, which would be a mind-blowing outcome for a 21st pick in his 3rd season. Tyrese's leap starts with his 3-point shooting effectiveness. He was billed as a shooter coming into the league but struggled to hit the shot consistently. But this season, he was elite, 8 percentage points above league average from 3 on solid volume. Shooting has been one of, if not the most coveted skill sets Philly has needed, and Maxey was the first guard next to Embiid that could handle the ball and shoot it. This makes Tyrese perfect for the same kind of handoffs that JJ Redick used to run in Philly, but it also allows Maxey to run more high screen and roll and get to his shot off the dribble or get downhill because he might be the fastest player in the playoffs right now. And even Toronto's defenders are struggling to keep him in front. He is really shining in this series because of how much he can attack a shifted defense. Toronto has placed a lot of attention on covering Embiid and the Beard, and Maxey is making great decisions on pulling up when the closeouts are short and driving past when he has an advantage. This makes him the ideal complement next to Embiid and Harden. James has been more of the traditional point guard, dictating the possessions and finding Maxey on cuts and streaking to the basket, but he is also getting his own pick and roll opportunities and chances to initiate the offense that benefit from Joel's gravity on the court. He's in the perfect role and getting better at it. If he has it going, they can give him more scoring responsibility and we can get a 30-piece like game 1. Or if the shot is not falling, you emphasize more of his off-ball play. James Harden hasn't been all that like we got used to seeing in past seasons, but Maxey's play has made that drop-off less painful for the 76ers, and I'm closely watching how that impacts Philly's postseason and their future. Moving on to the next thing that I want to hit on from these playoffs is the passing ability of Jason Tatum. It's only been 2 games so far, but his 8 and then 10 assist games are part of the trends that we have been seeing since last season. Jason Tatum was one of the most promising young scorers from the second he stepped in the league, averaging over 20 by his 3rd season, but for his critics, they were obsessed with the moments that Tatum didn't give up the ball. It's what supposedly made the Tatum and Brown pairing fail in some people's eyes, with these 2 forwards needing to become better passers. Both have grown in that department, but Tatum has been pulling off some special reads since last year's regular season. Brooklyn has played Tatum aggressively, putting size and length on him and sending double teams when he forces a mismatch and a switch, and Tatum is threading the needle to his bigs in the short roll. He's diming guys up in transition and generally just moving the ball when he forces help. This is obviously a huge development because it makes Tatum harder to guard and it makes Boston tougher to beat. In past series, if Tatum's shot wasn't falling, it would significantly lessen his impact. We saw a lot of ISO possessions of over-dribbling into a sidestep contested 3 or mid-range. Jason Tatum has hit that tier of top 5 to 8 players in the game, and he has been putting pressure on defenses with his shot making for years. He's been an above average defender on the wing and an underrated help defender at the rim, and now he's quietly become one of the top passers at his position, putting Boston in title position while still missing one of their best defensive players in Robert Williams, who will also slide in as probably the best lob threat in the playoffs outside of Giannis. There's a lot of interesting things to watch in this Boston-Brooklyn matchup, from Boston's defense on Durant, the fan beef with Kyrie, and the potential of Ben Simmons' return, but watching Tatum's growth as a passer is up there for me personally. Lastly, and the most shocking one for me, is the Bulls rediscovering their defensive identity that they had to start the year. The Bulls were a top 10 defense over 33 games in 2021. When the calendar year turned, their defense dropped to 27th over 49 games, which would coincide with injuries to their best defensive players, Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso. Both were legit all-defense candidates to start the year, but they had their seasons derailed by injury. But even as the Bulls added Caruso back, they didn't look like the same team that was forcing turnovers and deflections. Also, given their history of matchups against the Bucks this season, many people had the Bulls losing in 4 or 5 while struggling to defend. The Bucks averaging 116 points in their 4 regular season matchups, and to this point, they've been held to 93 and 110 points respectively in the first 2 games of this series. A huge part of that is Chicago has gotten back to forcing turnovers, and live ball turnovers are helping fuel them in transition. They have been doubling Giannis hard and forcing him to give up the ball, while they have players scrambling to rotate behind the double. They were respectably close in Game 1 and accomplished what many didn't think they could in Game 2, by beating a good team. This series looks a little closer than some expected, and Chicago's defense has been the backbone of it. Alex Caruso is showing why he was in all defense talks to start the year, playing the way he always has for years, which helped the Lakers achieve the top defense last season. There was the charge to help win the game too, and his defensive work and team leading plus minus kept the team attached when the offense was cold. Also, I really want to give credit to Nikola Vucevic for playing well on defense. As the center, he's often the guy starting on Giannis as other guys come to double. Giannis as a 2-time MVP, and he's absolutely winning a lot of these matchups and drawing a ton of fouls, but only 61% from 2, and he's been bailing the Bulls out by taking 3 3-pointers per game so far, so clearly some of what Chicago is doing is working. Chris Middleton sprained his MCL, which could change this series and maybe change the entire playoff run depending on the severity of it, but losing this release valve could make it easier on the Bulls scheme to slow down Giannis, or we could see him take it to another level. So what Chicago is doing on defense is the number one thing I am watching with the rest of this series. But that wraps up my 3 things. I wanted to get a video out with the playoffs being so great this year, but my editing and production schedule makes it difficult to keep up with the daily games going on, so this way I get a way of commenting on some of the general things that I'm watching, since I can't react on a game-to-game basis. But leave me a comment letting me know if you like this kind of format, and definitely subscribe so you can watch more. You can also find me on a few social media platforms for inside looks at upcoming videos, as well as reactions to live games or transactions. But I want to thank you for watching, especially if you made it to the end, and enjoy the rest of your day.